Hello, guys. So, how are you all doing? Yeah, so it's been quite a while that I am back with another vlog. So I was trying out, different experiments using this chatbot. So especially on the conversational AI bot and bots which uses custom data sources like vector DB. So I wanted to give it a try of using, some kind of knowledge bases as well, and then integrate that with the RAG and LLM tools, and then see how the chatbot works. So today I'm back with another vlog. So we will all see together like how, let's say, if within an organization, instead of completely relying on predefined, trained LLM models, how we can make use of companies or organizations internal data sources, so that the AI can fetch in and give information to the users, and make the give the users the most accurate and recent information from these knowledge bases, instead of relying something which was pre-trained maybe a year or so, right? So the main objective of using these kind of vector databases is that we can connect to the organizations, internal knowledge bases or tools, and whatever information databases we have, so that we can connect everything together in a common database, and these AI would fetch in the recent information from these knowledge bases and provide it to the user. So isn't that very interesting, guys, right? So that is, it makes use of the recent information instead of completely relying on an outdated data. So today that's what we're going to see. Okay, so come on, let's deep dive in. Okay, so I have opened my terminal right now, and what we are going to see today is I will be showing you guys that how I have created, this a chatbot which will be using the vector database to fetch the information and then give it to the users. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I will be showing you guys how I exactly developed it. Okay. And before that, let me just show you all my GitHub code. Okay. So, yes. Yeah, so there is a README file over here, and then we have app.py. So this is where my application code lies in. Okay. So if you see here, this is where I'm, loading the vector DB and everything. So, yep. And then I'm using GPT 3.5 Turbo. And yes, my chat endpoint. So this is where I'm handling, the chat request. And then also here is the exception block. And then I have the ingest.py. So this is where the actual, thing starts. So if you see, there is something called as data slash sample.txt, right? So this sample.txt is wherein I have included all the relevant data, and I've stored it within the vector DB, so that, let's say, if the customer asks anything in specific to that store, or any relevant questions about the customer support, and um, details like that, this particular vector DB do a scan of all the available data within it, and then it will fetch and retrieve those data back to LLM, and then LLM gives it back to the user. So that's how the whole scenario works. Okay, the basic architecture used here is RAG, retrieval augmented reality, as usual. So that is most commonly used architecture for any AI LLM based applications or agents, right? So yes, and what else? Yes, and requirement.txt, you can see these are all the uh, installations which I've done. Okay, so all these like Fast API, UVIC, URM, LangChain, OpenAI, DromaDB, TikTok, and things like that. So coming back to the terminal, so what I've done here is that this time I've not developed any application as such. Okay, so to quickly test my output, I am just using Swagger so that we can quickly check if my bot is working as expected. Okay, so I am pulling all my code from the GitHub. So git pull origin.mate, that's what I'm using. So it's my code base is up to date, and so every time I make changes I have to come here and then update my code base, so only then this application would work. Okay, and then this is the application. Okay, so this is how I we should be running the app. So if I run this app, what happens is, and before that, I will show you the data sample text. Okay, so this is what this data file contains. So PetPals is an online store for pet products. We provide toys, food, and accessories. Delivery takes 3 to 5 days. Customer support is available 24/7. Okay, so this is one of the file, I would say, right? So likewise, if you want to include a PDF file or a Google a document link or a SharePoint site. So all these are like multiple sources of data which can be connected into a one single repository with the help of this vector database. Okay, so yes, we are going to close this. So no, okay, I'm back, and the next thing is I'll be running the application. So take a note of the command. So this is how we run. Reloading it. Okay. So application has started up. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you all what is going to happen. So Fast API Swagger UI. Okay. So this is how the Swagger interface would look like. And now let's test asking the chatbot with some questions. So I'm going to ask like, what is Pet Pal store about? Okay, consider this as a chatbot, interface, but this is something which I'm doing with using Swagger because it is pretty much quick, and I do not have to invest so much of time developing an application separately, because I could instantly get the results from here, right? So all I want to know is that is my code base or my chatbot working as expected. So this is, I think, well enough, well, good enough for you to test and see the results with that. So what is a pet pal store? So let's see, what is a pet pal store. Let's execute it. Now let's see what it does. Great, right? So what it says is that Pet Pals is an online store for pet products. They offer toys, foods, and accessories for pets. Delivery typically takes 3 to 5 days, and they provide 24/7 customer support. Awesome, right? So the next thing what we can do is that maybe tweak the question a bit. What products are available in Pet Pals? Let's see what it answers if it doesn't find any appropriate content from the knowledge base, right? What does Pet Pal store? What products does Pet Pal store contain? What products does Pet Pal store contain? Right, all right, let's check this out now. Okay. Oh, nice. Pet Pal store contains toys, foods, and accessories for pets. Awesome. Now, the next question is, what are the store timings? What are the store timings for pet pals? Let's see what it answers. I don't know, but you can reach out to their customer support, which is available 24 by 7 for assistance with any queries you may have. See, so how, well it has tackled the questions which it doesn't know. Let's say if you would have, trained the model or the LLM on a predefined set of data or the information, all it would, reply back is that maybe it would be a very plain blunt answer saying that sorry, I do not have sufficient information and blah 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 kind of stuff, right? But if you are using these kind of knowledge bases within vector database, it would try to give you a more appropriate or very closer or relevant answers to you by fetching the most appropriate info as much as possible, right? Instead of just hallucinating or misleading you into some other kind of information. So I think that's the very important role which these kind of knowledge bases and documents, whatever the real time informations which are stored in a vector database plays a huge role over there, right? Instead of acting on a predefined set of data, and then if it doesn't know, it might hallucinate, and it creates problem at the end. So it's always the best if you can provide all these internal resources of the companies or or the organization connected to a vector database, so that even within an organization, see, if a person is newly getting onboarded, so it is very much useful for that person, right, to get to maybe it could prepare a checklist, and it could directly redirect you to the appropriate sources, instead of somebody coming to you and manually doing an onboarding. So those days are gone. So now today, if you look, things are pretty much automated, right? So there, I think these kind of tools and chatbots plays a very significant role, wherein nobody has to manually come you and prep up for your a new job role and things like that. So you have all the resources available readily to you. You just it just guides you step by step, and where to go, where to find all the resources. When you're done, okay, the checklist is done, and it takes you to the next one, and things like that happen. So yeah, so there are a lot of automations as well possible using these kind of agents and things like that. So yes, so this is one example which I've provided, but likewise there are a number of things which can really help out as well. And yep, so I think that's it. Maybe one other, let's ask something very tricky now. From where are you getting these information which I have asked you? I don't know. I'm just, trying to play a little bit tricky over here, but let's see what it answers. I don't know. It's as simple as that, right? So, yeah. Maybe this is something which I've asked, very blunt. I shouldn't have done that. Hmm. Okay, where is the store resided? Where is the Pet Pal store located? Okay. Hmm. Let's see what it says. Pet Pals is an online store, so there is no physical location. You can shop for pet products on our website and have them delivered to your doorstep. Okay, so may I know your website? Let's see what it says. I don't know. Okay, so the worst case scenario is which it doesn't know any answer, it just says I don't know. It's as simple as that, right, guys? So, okay. So I'm going to do something, um, for a change. I just want to show you guys something live now. Okay, so let's do one thing. I'm gonna open this and I'm gonna Pet Pals website name. Pet Pals 24/7. I don't know if Pet Pals Online, petpalsonline.com, something like that. Okay, it's just a trial. Let's just see. So I've included the website name. So as you see, you can include any kind of information here. Okay, so these are all like pretty much text informations, right? So you keep on adding informations, and if the user keeps asking, it immediately comes here and checks if there are any relevant, details, if it could fetch from here and help the user with that particular answer. So yes, you can include anything. So if now I've included the website name here, and now let's go check in the Swagger like what it answers. Okay. So yeah. So okay. Yes, I need to changes here. Let me open and check if my changes are reflected. Okay. Now let's run the app once again. Okay. And okay, the app has started. Now I'm going back and I am refreshing it again. Okay, so now what we are going to do is, let's try this out. So this is post, okay? So website of pet pals. Let's see what it says. Now it should ideally take the, website name. I'm sorry, I don't have this information. Why is that so? Didn't I not run and save it properly? Um, okay, let me just try it once again, okay? Just exiting it. Pet Pals website name. Why is it not coming? Do I need to do something else here? I don't know, but hopefully not, right? Try reloading it again. Try it out. Website, website name of Pet Pals. It should come. Website name of Pet Pals is Pet Pals. I think something is going wrong. This was my data sample text. Okay, so what I've included is that I have included email and location as a new information to this particular sample text, and I'm going to exit. And yes, so every time, if you try to include some information, you are trying to create new embeddings, right? So every time you have to ingest the application again. So ingest.py. So you have to run this command so that everything gets ingested again freshly. Okay, so all your data gets ingested, and then what you do is that you run the application again. Okay, so now this should work. And once this is run, I'm just gonna reload it. I've already tried this, but let me reload the page and I'm going to try this out. Okay, so now we have included two informations only, right? So let's just ask about it now. Where is Pet Pals located? Now it's going to give me the answer. Okay, see, Voila Pet Pals is located in Bangalore, right? So I got the answer. So this is how it works. Okay, so now let's ask the other question as well. Okay, so now the next question which I'm gonna ask is give me the website name of Pet Pals. Give me the website name of Pet Pals. So now it should give me the website name. Let's see. Execute. Okay, it says I don't have this information. Why is that so? Give me the. Is it website or website name? What did I give actually? Let me just check. Oh, it's email. Email. Okay, okay. So let's go back again. Starting the application again. Give me the email of PetPads. Execute. And now it should give me the email. Yeah, it's petpalsonline at gmail.com. Wow, super cool, right? So this is how it works, guys. So if you want to add new extra informations, just keep on adding them, and then you should be running in just py script, okay, so that it ingests all your new embeddings, and then later you run your application, you just reload it, and you can ask the questions. It would fetch the relevant information and give it to the user. Okay, so I have only used one data source here, that is the text file, but I'm also planning to integrate multiple data sources within VectorDB, like SharePoint site, PDF, Google Excel sheet, and things like that. So in my next blog, I might come up with integrating all these multiple data sources together, and let's see how that works. Okay, so I think that should be interesting for you guys as well. Okay, so this was my video on how to built chatbot which uses vector db as a data source, and which can source real time data, and then give it to the llm, and then llm in turn gives it to the users. So yes, I hope you guys enjoyed my vlog. So that's it for today, guys. I will all I will see you guys all in my next vlog. So I know that I've been quite behind in doing my YouTube vlogs, because I was also occupied in my work related stuff. So I will make sure at least I will keep posting videos frequently as much as I can when I get some free time. So yeah, I will come up with a new vlog pretty soon. So till then, you guys take care, and bye bye. See you.